In the most recent episode of The Voice, Reba McEntire made a bold move by employing her one and only mic drop of the season to get her pick in the knockout round. After both Corey Kennedy and Aaron Nichols gave outstanding performances, the country music icon was forced to pick between them during the November 17 program. McEntire had something to think about as Kennedy played Hurricane and Nichols played You and I. Following the completion of both artists' tracks, McEntire provided insightful criticism. "Corey, you are a powerhouse," she said to Kennedy. "Everyone knows you mean business when you take the stage. All of your years in Nashville performing have paid off because you are a seasoned veteran up on that stage," she said, acknowledging Nichols' experience. "You both are so good," she said, praising the two singers. "I'm really pleased with you." When it came down to decide, McEntire went with Nichols. "I chose Aaron to move forward because he knows his lane. He's very powerful in his lane, and he stays in it," she later said while describing her reasons. She didn't stop there though. Additionally, McEntire nominated Nichols for a performance at the forthcoming Rose Parade by pressing her mic drop button for him. Every coach receives a single nomination, and America's vote will determine the ultimate victor. "I think Aaron has a great shot to be on the stage at the Rose Parade and give a wonderful performance," McEntire said, expressing her confidence in her choice. McEntire is now the most recent coach to secure her pick. Although Reba McEntire has never shied away from difficult choices, she had to make one of the most emotionally taxing decisions of her career as a coach during this season's knockout round of The Voice. Reba has swiftly emerged as one of the most significant instructors in the recent history of the series, distinguished by her friendliness, keen intuition, and distinctive country star grace. However, nothing about this moment was straightforward. Despite decades of experience molding up-and-coming artists, it is well known that the knockout rounds are extremely cruel. There, aspiring performers perform without a duet partner, team assistants, or vocal mixing to cover mistakes. During this stage, coaches assess voice technique versus emotional storytelling. Identities become apparent, and artistry distinguishes itself from sheer talent. The stakes were extremely personal to Reba, a singer whose reputation was based on her passionate delivery. The knockouts this season were more erratic than ever, with soulful experimenters, powerful belters, raw singers, and nuanced storytellers. However, two of her competitors, who were from different musical backgrounds, gave performances that were so powerful and emotionally impactful that Reba was forced to choose between loyalty and instinct. The evening soon rose to prominence as one of the season's most memorable. Even before the stage lights rise, the pressure increases. Reba knew she had put together one of the best teams in the competition going into the knockouts. The musicians in her ensemble had very varied strengths. Stage-commanding vocalists that could blow the studio away, velvet-toned performers with eerie emotive delivery, and singers with timeless storytelling skills that brought back memories of early country giants. However, the forthcoming knockout was about more than just vocal prowess. Evolution was put to the test. Since the blind auditions, Reba had seen the development of these competitors. She had seen them transform from apprehensive vocalists to self-assured performers who could perform on television. Her decision was further complicated by that increase. Producers hinted that Reba had been having a lot of trouble behind the scenes, mentally reliving the rehearsals and analyzing every aspect of authenticity, risk, tone, and performance. Reba's comments demonstrated the extent of her inner turmoil when it came time to lead her performers through their rehearsals with the advisor for this round. She prioritized emotional connection over technical proficiency, frequently complimented both vocalists, and only pointed out the slightest flaws. Everyone, including her fellow coaches, knew that Reba was on the verge of making one of her most difficult decisions by the time the live knockout started. First contestant. The silent narrator since the start of the season. The first performer to take the stage had been a surprising favorite. A quiet vocalist with a gentle tone and an innate ability to turn straightforward songs into personal stories. Early in the competition, Reba took a liking to this vocalist and kept emphasizing that subtlety may have just as much impact as volume. This participant selected a slow, painful ballad for the knockout. It's the kind of music where emotional honesty, not technical fireworks, determines its fate. The room fell silent as the opening notes started, There was a damaged beauty to each line that demanded attention. The singer's tone added richness rather than vulnerability by cracking at the perfect moments. The speech was intensely intimate and eerily reserved. The type of performance caused the camera to stay, looking for every sign of weakness. The room exploded by the last note. Reba appeared momentarily overcome, putting her hand to her face in an uncommon display of unfiltered emotion. Before any other judge could say anything, she praised him in a whisper. The performance made her job much more difficult. Contestant 2. The stage-owning powerhouse, the second contender charged onto the stage with magnetic intensity, but the first singer enthralled the crowd with gentle intimacy. All season long, this singer had taken chances by choosing songs that shouldn't have worked but nonetheless did. The singer chose a huge, emotionally charged anthem for the knockout that is renowned for being among the most technically challenging songs of the past 10 years. It was evident that this singer took center stage as soon as the performance started. The large notes struck like lightning, furious, controlled, and brimming with fury. With unexpected grace, the shifts between quiet passages and vocal outbursts were managed. Each run was positioned purposefully. Clarity and endurance were displayed in the delivery of each sustained belt. The audience was standing by the end. Given that this competitor had just put on one of the best performances of the season, the other coaches leaned in and whispered compliments. Reba watched the stage with a mixture of pride, admiration, and hardtack. Two outstanding performances with diametrically opposed strengths were precisely what she dreaded, making her choice all but impossible. The coaches' perspective: the coaches were quick to offer their opinions once both singers completed, and Reba's decision was not made any simpler by the remarks. The quiet singer's emotional accuracy was lauded by one coach, who said it was like witnessing an experienced artist turn suffering into poetry. According to a different coach, the powerful voice gave one of the most impressive and technical knockout performances they had ever seen. Every coach understood Reba's precarious situation. They tried to influence her, sympathize with her, and taunted her, but none of them had a definitive response. Reba nodded and listened intently, taking in everything that was said. Nothing showed on her face. Her heart told all. Reba's introspective thoughts prior to declaring her choice. Reba invited both competitors to present themselves. The room became quiet. Fans at home could sense the gravity of the situation. Reba addressed the narrator first. She praised their capacity to evoke strong emotions in audiences without resorting to force or ostentation. She reminded the singer that restraint, not force, had been the foundation of many great careers. She described the performance as being like hearing the purest expression of truth. She then addressed the powerful vocalist. There was a small change in her tone, more charged, more energized. She commended the singer's unquestionable strength, their courage in taking chances, and their dedication to become stronger every week. Their performance in the knockout demonstrated a level of preparedness that very few performers ever reach at this point, she said. Reba hesitated though. She gave both competitors the look of someone who truly hoped she would be able to keep them both. She even acknowledged that she had struggled with the choice she knew she would have to make the previous evening. The crowd held its breath. The conclusion. Reba chooses. There was a long pause before Reba eventually said anything. She spoke with conviction, clarity, and steadiness. She selected the performer who made the greatest progress, the one who entered the knockout with an unwavering sense of confidence and ownership, in addition to delivering faultless technical execution. The powerful vocalist was her choice. As the victorious artist exhaled in surprise and relief, the room exploded. Even though several of the other coaches acknowledged that they might have leaned the other way, they nonetheless commended Reba on making such a tough choice. Something unexpected occurred as the ousted candidate was about to exit the stage. The unexpected turn that revolutionized everything. A coach punched down their steel button, followed immediately by another, as the subtly compelling storyteller started to go for the exit. Reba let out a gasp, clearly relieved. In an effort to persuade the artist to join their teams, her other instructors launched an intense campaign. They commended the singer's storytelling skills, vulnerability, and potential to win the competition. The studio briefly glowed with excitement and mayhem. The participant ultimately made their choice, moving to a different team and continuing their trip. What about Reba? She couldn't be more delighted. She gave the competitor a tight hug while uttering sentiments that spectators could readily picture, but cameras couldn't. Encouragement, pride, and the knowledge that their journey was far from done. Reba's legacy on the show was defined by a knockout round, in addition to influencing the season. Reba's choice in the knockout round exposed the core of her coaching philosophies. She is a mentor who cherishes unadulterated passion just as much as technical mastery, who honors development just as much as unadulterated genius, and who maintains a strong bond with the narratives her musicians convey via their music. Both competitors were still in the competition at the end of the night, demonstrating that sometimes the most difficult choices result in the most positive consequences. The knockout wasn't simply another program to the audience. It served as a reminder of why Reba McEntire is still one of The Voice's most adored coaches, and why the show is still one of the most emotionally compelling competition shows on television. Her decision wasn't simple. Nevertheless, it was sincere, genuine, and based on the same qualities that made her a legend before she had ever sat in a red chair. Furthermore, it is certain that Reba's team and her influence will continue to shape the competition in ways that will be remembered as the season progresses.